Summary. Outlive, The Science and Art of Longevity by Peter Attia, MD, with Bill Gifford. Introduction, Rethinking Health and Aging. In Outlive, The Science and Art of Longevity, Peter Attia, MD, physician and leading voice in the longevity space, teams up with journalist Bill Gifford to deliver bold and nuanced manifesto for how to live not just longer but better. The book begins by taking a critical look at modern medicine's reactive approach to chronic disease, especially those associated with aging. Heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, type 2 diabetes. Rather than simply intervening late with treatment, Attia argues for paradigm shift, an anticipatory preventative strategy that focuses on delaying the onset of disease and maximizing quality of life. This Medicine 3.0 model challenges the passive, one-size-fits-all paradigm of healthcare. It promotes proactive personalization, leveraging science data and an individual's values to craft roadmap for long-term well-being. Attia emphasizes that this is not biohacking gimmick, but strategic science-driven framework rooted in clinical experience, longevity research, and physiology. Part 1. The Four Horsemen of Death. Attia organizes the central threats to long life, what he calls the four horsemen, into four chronic conditions. Atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease, ACT. This is the most common cause of death worldwide. Attia critiques the traditional reliance on cholesterol levels, especially LDL, as inadequate. He explains that more nuanced markers, like a POB and coronary artery calcium scans, offer superior risk stratification. He promotes earlier interventions, including lifestyle changes and potentially medications, long before symptoms manifest. Cancer's unpredictability makes it especially difficult to outmaneuver. However, Attia supports vigilant screening, personalized risk assessments, genetic and familial, and preventive strategies such as metabolic optimization and inflammation control. He is optimistic about early detection tools like liquid biopsies and emphasizes metabolic health's influence on cancer risk. Neurodegenerative disease, especially Alzheimer's. Cognitive decline is top concern for those who wish not just to live long but to remain independent. Attia proposes that Alzheimer's may be strongly influenced by insulin resistance and metabolic dysfunction. He discusses sleep, stress, and cognitive training as crucial tools for cognitive longevity. Metabolic dysfunction, type 2 diabetes, and obesity, perhaps the most preventable. For metabolic dysfunction is also the most neglected in early adulthood. Insulin resistance is framed not only as precursor to diabetes, but also as common link between all four horsemen. Attia stresses that early identification and management of metabolic issues through diet, exercise, and sleep can change the trajectory of aging entirely. Part 2. The Tactical Toolkit for Longevity. Attia presents a four-part framework for proactive longevity: nutrition, exercise, sleep, and emotional health. Rather than prescribing a single lifestyle formula, he emphasizes the importance of individualized, context-specific strategies. 1. Nutrition. Beyond diets to biochemical literacy, Attia dismantles fad diet culture and insists that nutrition decisions must be guided by biochemistry, not ideology. He promotes a focus on macronutrient quality and satiety rather than arbitrary calorie restrictions. Monitoring blood glucose, ketones, and insulin response to food is a more scientific guide. Personal experimentation with low-carb, ketogenic, or time-restricted eating depending on metabolic health. Use of continuous glucose monitors, EGMS, and food logs for real-time data. Rather advocating for any one diet, Attia champions metabolic flexibility and a long-term sustainable relationship with food that supports your physiological goals. Exercise. The most potent longevity drug, the strongest pro-longevity intervention, Attia asserts, is exercise, which he dubs the real fountain of youth. He introduces the concept of the centenarian decathlon, training plan designed backward from the skills and capacities one would want to retain into their 90s and beyond. He recommends mix of Zone 2 cardio, sub-threshold endurance work to improve mitochondrial efficiency, Bomax training, maintain aerobic capacity, strength training, especially for major muscle groups, to combat sarcopenia, stability and mobility work to prevent falls and frailty. The key is progressive, consistent, and intentional training, ideally maintained across decades, not just temporary fix. 3. Sleep. The neglected pillar. Poor sleep is now linked to nearly every chronic disease outcome. Attia underscores how sleep deprivation or fragmentation affects insulin sensitivity, cognitive performance, immune function, and mental health. He suggests prioritizing 7-9 hours of high-quality sleep per night, managing light exposure, temperature, and noise in the sleep environment, considering sleep tracking devices to improve awareness. Conditions like sleep apnea, which are vastly underdiagnosed. 4. Emotional and mental health, the invisible driver of decline. This chapter is Attia's most vulnerable and perhaps most groundbreaking. He shares his own struggles with perfectionism, trauma, and depression, linking mental health directly to long-term physical health. He argues, emotional health is often the bottleneck in achieving success in the other domains. Chronic stress and unresolved emotional trauma can lead to hormonal disruption, poor decision-making, and reduce longevity. Therapy, mindfulness practices, strong social connections, and purpose are essential components of long life. Attia insists that mental well-being must be treated not as luxury, but as necessity. Part 3, the longevity mindset. The final section explores the mindset shift needed to adopt and maintain a longevity-driven life. Attia reiterates that the road to aging well is not paved with absolutes, but with adaptive intelligence. Learning to think critically, track your own data, and course correct. Key tenets include embracing uncertainty and complexity instead of chasing oversimplified health advice, developing long-term thinking and gratification, using tools like blood tests, wearables, and scans proactively, not just diagnostically, accepting that no plan can be universal. Your longevity strategy must fit your physiology, goals, resources, and values. Conclusion, outliving the past, investing in the future. In the book's powerful conclusion, Attia argues that our future health is not determined by our genes alone. Aging is not immutable. With the right knowledge and action taken early enough, we can outlive our expected trajectory. Both literally and metaphorically, Outlive ultimately offers not just medical advice, but a new way to live, one built on science, intention, self-awareness, and hope. It doesn't promise immortality, but it offers the next best thing. More years of vitality, independence, and meaning. Themes and impact: proactive health versus reactive medicine, the core challenge to the status quo. Individualized medicine, one size no longer fits all. The malleability of aging. Fate can be changed by choices, personal responsibility, and empowerment. Patients become active participants. Integration of emotional, cognitive, and physical health. A holistic view of longevity. Outlive is both practical and philosophical. Guidebook not just for living long, but for living well. For those who want to take control of their future health, this book serves as rigorous, deeply researched, and ultimately hopeful roadmap.